Hey, Jonno, how you doing?
Yeah, good, Harry. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you feeling? Hey, I've heard a lot of people have been, whinging and crying, as is the case with whinging poems.
Yeah, there's a bit of, I guess there's mixed feelings knocking around. Disappointment being the main one. Certainly, that's disappointment for me. Not so much that England didn't win the game, but that we were prevented from taking it to a deciding game in the fifth match of the series, having come back from 2-0 down. Which I think you have to go back to, I think the 30s for the last time that happened in an Ashes series. So yeah, it's really unfortunate what's happened. And yeah, as you into that, there's a lot of ill feeling among England fans. Whoever robs us, it's unfair. I think I disagree with those takes slightly in that saying it's unfair implies that there's some greater power that has decided to do this to
Yeah.
England.
You can't help
Whereas,
it. It's in your nature just to whinge about
yeah,
it.
I think it's fairer to describe it as unfortunate rather than unfair.
Right.
Um,
Oh,
England have had the chances to win games in this series, and they've only won one so far. Um,
yeah. The first test match, most of the time, Australia were behind. Okay. I think in the second test match, Australia was slightly always ahead. The
yeah,
third test match, okay, hands down, England won. In this fourth test as well, I think England dominated. It is unfortunate that they didn't come out on top. And as a result, even if England win the fifth test match, it's going to be a drawn series. So it's a drawn test series. Given that every time England come to Australia, they always get destroyed. So, well, come on,
right.
they do.
2010-11 was
Yeah,
we won Australia, and the last time Australia won outright in England was 2001, as you've
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we've won it in your backyard more recently than you've won it in ours.
yeah. Okay, you said that. I don't think at the end it would have made that much of a difference because Australia ended up being, what, 60 runs behind and 5 wickets in hand. A lot of people asked the question while he was going for Johnny's 100, whether there was a need for that or not. But you were saying that, hang on, why do they keep playing? You're like, I don't know, 200 runs ahead. So declare it. I don't think in the end it would have made a difference, but tell us what you're thinking about it.
Yeah, with the weather that was predicted on Friday, I think I was saying to you when we recorded our video on Friday that England should be looking to declare Friday morning by lunch at the latest. Go hell for leather, get a whole bunch of runs. And in the end, they didn't score. I don't think they scored as fast as they wanted before lunch. There wasn't a declaration at lunch. And after lunch, we have Johnny Bairstow going through his vanity runs, trying to get the century. And the whole time I'm messaging you, I'm messaging my SAP group back home saying, why aren't we declaring? We're about to be hit by a huge amount of rain. There's going to be so much time lost in this test. England should be looking to take wickets sooner and worry about the runs later because they have the ability to worry about the runs later. That if Australia had been bowled out with England needing to chase, say, 100 in an hour on the final day or on Saturday rather, England could do that easily. So it was a strategic error. Stokes took the least risky option by pursuing runs. I think if he'd been a bit bolder with a declaration and pursued wickets, England would have been closer to winning for sure. Um, in the end, as you said, it probably didn't matter. So much time was lost to rain that England may not have had the time to get. We saw that they probably wouldn't have the time to get on the fields, but you never know. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, as you said, dominant performance by England with bat and ball. But I should mention as well that fair play to Miles Labuschagne for scoring 111 on the third and fourth days when wickets were falling on the Friday evening session. He managed to tough it out. Mitch Marsh put in huge effort. I think it was 27 off 110-ish balls. Um, so they toughed it out and stopped the wickets falling. If one of those had gone Friday evening, the floodgates are opening because then you're through to Green, Carey, and the tail. So yeah, so from England's point of view, they won't be too disheartened by it because they know they had Australia on the ropes. Australia looking ragged. We saw that with Cummins' captaincy, with Cummins bowling, with the bowlers in general. So they're going to need to make big changes, I think, going into the fifth test because England have got the upper hand, both in terms of physicality and mentality. And Australia really need to regroup before we go again on Thursday, I think.
Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. I think Australia can still win the series, of course. So all the pressure is going to be on England, but I think England would have momentum. Mark Wood has obviously made a huge difference, both in the third and the fourth test match. I don't know if he's going to be fit. I don't think there's any issues with that. I don't think England would be resting him because that would be unnecessary because it's a must-win test match. But before we go to the last segment to close it out, I just want to share this. Piers Morgan is such a good sport. He's been tweeting away and he's being a proper sook. Yeah. So this is what he had to say. I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay.
I can just
Okay.
about. I can see the
Yeah, okay.
retained, but yeah.
Yeah. So he goes, for F's sake, has there ever been a less deserved retention of the Ashes? From the Bairstow debacle to this rain-soaked fiasco, it's an absolute farce that smirking Australia have ended up with the urn still in their hands. England comfortably the better side, as this test showed. Gutting. All right, what happened in the first two test matches? But look at this. He has been shaming Australia for retaining the urn as though if we had any control over the rain. But look at this one. A few years ago, boom! Rain, Ashes has been retained by England. So he was happy with that one.
Yeah, and we know he's a hypocrite of the highest order. And I don't think you should really be taking too much notice of such an ethically, morally, and politically corrupt individual who has a track record of being a bully, hacking dead people's cell phones, just trying to get rises out of people. That's all he is a bully. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the Australian cricket fans have risen to the bait. As you pointed out, he was doing the exact same thing 10 years ago when England went up in the series at Manchester, it was Manchester again, in 2013. So, I wouldn't pay too much attention to him. The only good thing he's ever done was when he faced that bowling from Brett Lee, I think in the 10-11 Ashes, where he faced Brett Lee bounced in with
a lot of them.
Yeah. You want to watch something with Piers Morgan, go and watch him getting hit by Brett Lee.
And Brett Lee did not hold back. He just kept going at him. But yes, that showed how much even Brett Lee, who's one of the nicest guys around, even he hated him. There was one more tweet that I wanted to share, and he was saying, this one. He's taking on Paddy Cummins. No shit, Sherlock. I'd be embarrassed to even speak to the media if I retained the Ashes in such a dismal way. So, anyway, that's, I think, is all shits and giggles. So, what are you thinking about the final test? What are your thoughts? I think Mark Wood has been the difference. The rest of the batting also raised their hand. So, what are you thinking? Obviously, Cousin Carey. Crawley, sorry. I knew I'd said something wrong. So, Cousin Crawley with a big pun, looking very scary. Mark Wood looking very lethal. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think England will probably want to stick with the same team. You've mentioned Mark Wood's dominance with the ball in the third and fourth match. England also brought Chris Woakes in at the third match as well. And Chris Woakes has picked up, I think, got his first Ashes fifer in the first innings, Manchester. He's got other wickets as well. And he's been consistent. With Mark Woods and Chris Woakes, England's bowling looks shored up. I'm not sure if Jimmy will play. He definitely picks up one wicket in the fourth test, but again, he looks a bit off the money. When the ball did start to swing, the umpire said it has to be spin bowlers, no more fast bowling. So, I imagine Broad will play again. And England's top seven, I imagine, will remain unchanged. And I think there's a bit of a question around Woakes' fitness. I think he picks up a niggle at some point in the fourth test. So England will probably announce their team in the next 24 hours. So I imagine it will look quite similar.
What about Moeen Ali?
Moeen Ali, he'll stay at 3. He got a 50. England will be happy with that. And that's the thing about this England side. If one batter in the top 3 doesn't fire, or even if 2 don't fire, there's so much power in the engine room, 4 down to 7. They're aggressive batters. So Australia, on the other hand, will probably be looking to make changes. There's been a running question throughout the series about Warner's form, and he's made starts, I think, in every game, but has got out. I'm not sure yet who they bring in there. Marnus finally got his century. Smith has looked a bit ropey, but they're not dropping him. I don't know if they'll keep both Marsh and Green. Mitch Marsh he makes runs. He made it 50 in the first innings. He stuck it out for 110 balls in the second innings. So I don't think they can drop him. Cam Green is still being ineffective with bat and ball. And then we look at the bowlers. England have got Scott Boland figured out. Scott Boland won't be coming back. Josh Hazlewood has played 3 of the games. He's played 3 of the games. He also played the World Test final. If he's fit enough to play another game, not sure. Cummins has to play as captain, but he looks absolutely ragged. And then, should they bring the spinner? Almost certainly. So it has to be Todd Murphy. Michael Neser, I've been saying this throughout this Ashes series. Michael Neser is in England. He has got centuries this year in first-class cricket. So he's becoming an all-rounder. And Australia would be fools not to pick him. I think Stark probably stays in the side. So I think Hazlewood for Michael Neser is the big change they need to make. And probably Green for Murphy is the change I'd make to their side as well.
Yeah, good call. One last question I want to quickly ask you. Why do England announce their team a couple of days prior to the match? Why is it like this?
I'm not entirely sure. It's a bit of a weird tactic for me. I guess from the management's point of view, it gives the players certainty. The players they pick a few days out, and the players they don't pick aren't fretting in the build-up to the toss where the team sheet is handed over.
But they can tell them privately. But why do they announce it to the world?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's part of this sort of be bold gambit they're going for. I would love to see them announce a team 2 days out, and then
Just
when it came to the toss, hand over a completely different side. I think that would be hilarious.
that actually would be hilarious. They might actually do that.
Because then you've got the other teams making plans, and
it would be unethical.
You do give away a tactical advantage by naming your team so far, but they must figure that the benefit it gives their players knowing what the team is greater than the advantage they give away.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll join you again just before the test match starts on Thursday. And that would be the last test match of the series. And we'll keep you up to date. Until then, ta-ra.